Today's next presenter is Vincent Bowen. Vincent will share his research on peer-to-peer analysis and marketing. Vincent's mentor is Dr. Dana Walker. Vincent, I will turn it over to you.
Good morning, and thank you for being here today. My name is Vincent Bowen. I am a senior majoring in business analytics, and today I'll be talking about peer-to-peer analytics and marketing. P2P transactions, which stands for peer-to-peer or person-to-person transactions, are done on mobile devices that take the place of cash transactions. These are often used between friends, family members, and small businesses. P2P transactions have been on the rise. The three dominant leaders in this space are Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle. These companies are financial technology, or fintech for short. These services are categorized. In 2017, it was estimated that there were 40 million users on these three platforms, and now in 2022, it is estimated there is 111 million users. Before I begin, I want to explain the data that I analyzed. The database is comprised of regional bank transaction data from 2022. This has been anonymized for customer confidentiality and privacy. There is a total of 33,966,690 transactions in 2022, and out of those, 832,664 were P2P transactions. They make up 2.54% of total transactions, but with how fast P2P is growing, these are important to monitor. I use structured query language, or SQL for short, to segment and categorize the data. The application I used for this was Microsoft SQL Server. I would again like to stress that there are many P2P transactions, but I will be focusing on Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle. Cash App is owned by Square and was started in 2013. This app allows you to link your bank account, credit card, and debit card and effortlessly send money from one person to another. Cash App also has its own account where a balance is kept for moving money from one person to another, or it can be transferred into your personal account. There are two transfer options. You can do an instant transfer for and that has a 1.5% transfer fee with a 25-cent minimum, or you can wait 1 to 3 business days and have a completely free transfer. Next is Venmo. This is very similar to Cash App. It happens to be the most popular P2P app in our region. Venmo was created in 2009 and was later bought out by PayPal in 2013. Like Cash App, users can link their bank account, debit card, and credit card. They also have a Venmo balance that is very similar to the Cash App. Their transfer fee is 1% with a 25-cent minimum, and they also offer a 1 to 3 business day free transaction. The fastest growing P2P transaction medium is Zelle. Zelle was launched in 2017 and are owned by a parent company, Early Warning Services. This is comprised of the country's 7 largest banks: Bank of America, BB&T, Capital One, JP Morgan Chase, US Bank, Wells Fargo, and PNC Bank. The only linked account is your bank account. Zelle is not like Cash App and Venmo. They do not have their own app. Everything goes through the mobile banking app that you probably already have downloaded on your phone from your regional or local bank. This allows you to transfer balances from one bank account to another without a third-party company. This app is for users' personal bank account and checking account. Zelle also says that over 100 million, According to Zelle, there are 1,800 financial institutions that have seamlessly already integrated it into their online and mobile banking services. There is already 100 million users that have direct access to Zelle. There are over 5 billion transactions since 2017 on Zelle and $1.5 trillion moved through Zelle. Third-party apps like Cash App and Venmo are now required to report your earnings or income to the IRS. They are required to now send a 1099-K, and then it is up to the users to determine what is income and what is not income. This can really have a sticky situation because you need to keep track of your receipts, use the memos correctly. I will now be getting into the regional data. There were 832,644 total transactions for P2P use. Venmo accounted for 473,681 transactions, which is 57%. Cash App had 295,355 transactions, which is 35%. And Zelle made up for only 8% with 63,630 transactions. In 2022, out of the total 365 Cash App transactions, a third were credits, which is users receiving money, and 2/3 were credits, which is users sending money out. Venmo credit transactions made up for 37%, and debit transactions are made up 63% of the total 473,691 transactions. Despite the difference in volume in the debit and credit transactions, trends were really very similar between Cash App and Venmo. Zelle, on the other hand, differs. Unlike Cash App and Venmo, there are more Zelle credit transactions than debits. Credits make up 53%, just a little over half, and debits make up 47%. Zelle debits and credits not only differ in the fact that there are more credits than debits, but they are also a lot closer to being even. One way to find out why this happened is to send out a survey to users using Zelle and ask why they're using the service over apps like Cash App and Venmo. The rise in credit transactions may very well be because there is no transfer fee, or that they feel it is safer in general because they do not have to give their information away to third-party companies. Next is the dollar volume comparison, showing the value of the transactions and how much is actually being moved through these services. In total, there was $107,021,647.43 in P2P transactions. Cash App moved $28,799,831.43. Venmo moved $57,426,852.93. Zelle moved $20,794,990.07. Where Zelle is 8% of the transactions, it is slightly over 19% of the total P2P volume. This is the average transaction amount for each service. Cash App's average credit transaction is $113.50. The average debit is $48.75. Venmo's average credit transaction is $160.48, and the average debit transaction is $98.10. Again, Zelle is different from the two services. Zelle has a slightly lower average credit transaction to average debit by 32 cents, with an average credit of $326.66 and an average debit of $326.98. Zelle's average transaction happens to also be a lot higher. This may be due to the fact that you can schedule payments like rent, or that there is no transfer fee. If a user wants to transfer a large sum of money instantly and they use a third-party app like Venmo or Cash App, they will be subject to that transfer fee, and when talking large sums of money, 1% can make a huge difference. This graph is the unique customer ID comparison. Cash App has 11,347 users, while Venmo has 18,946 users. Zelle is the least amount with 4,586 users. This is interesting because with Zelle having around 7,000 less users and 233,000 less transactions than Cash App, there's only an $8 million difference in total volume moved through the app. This data allows for better marketing for Zelle. We can encourage the current Zelle customers to use it more and encourage the Cash App and Venmo customers to switch over to Zelle because they already have the app downloaded on their phones, and setting up Zelle inside your mobile banking app is a few clicks. It also focuses on the fact that it does not cost customers anything and does not fall under the new tax rules. This data can be de-anonymized and broken down into age demographic segments in order to generate relevant marketing pieces like the ones shown up there. In conclusion, this data shows how important P2P transactions are in today's day and age, and this also helps market Zelle to better Zelle users and existing Zelle users and potential Zelle users. Thank you. Any questions?
So how would you, when you talk about there's larger transactions, you mentioned rent, are there other small businesses that are using this so they're not, they're avoiding invoicing, that sort of thing?
I would assume there is, since this is de-anonymized. Since it's not de-anonymized, I can't look at who exactly is doing this. But looking through the transactions, there was transactions in the thousands, and I would assume that is normally small businesses. Not many people are using personal payments for thousands of dollars.
So I know you talked about a lot of the different benefits of like Zelle and like why it's so good, but I was kind of wondering, even like, I guess they probably don't get the word out more, but why would you say most people would there are more users for Cash App and Venmo when compared with Zelle though?
I think that has to do with Zelle came to the market in 2017, and Cash App and Venmo came to the market much, much earlier, with Venmo being in there in 2009.
So piggybacking off of that question, I'm curious if you interpret Zelle as being able to offer all these lower fees or no fees or all these advantages over the other apps? Is it because they're just trying to gain new customers because they're new on the market and they'll probably change their policies pretty soon to match the other ones?
They're a little bit different than Cash App and Venmo. Like I said, it is set up through your bank, so it is directly linked to your bank account. This is not a third-party app. So it is going directly through your bank. You have to give your information to no one. Your bank already has all this information. So it's not a different app. It's already integrated into your online banking.
I'll make a couple of clarifications for him too. Cash App is proprietary owned, and the inventor and owner, the chief executive officer, was murdered within the last month. So there's a lot of drama in the fintech industry, and there's a lot of profit taking, where when the Zelle is FDIC, so it's more traditional banking, but it's got the fintech feel to it, but it doesn't have the business overhang of a particular business. The other thing that Vincent didn't have an opportunity, he's looking at regional banks in the regional area. So we're a little more conservative about how we move money. If you move to China, about 90% of their transactions are fintech versus traditional banking. So I think we're behind the curve from that perspective, that you'll see a lot more of this based upon some of the things that Vincent observed.
Thank you, Dr. Walker.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so Vincent, how many transactions did you have to go through?
There was a little over 33 million transactions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.